Hello, tubers. This is Kurt with Edibles and Exotics, coming to you from sunny Mesa, Arizona. And just wanted to show you guys what I got going on here with some fig air layers. So these are air layers off of my Black Mission fig tree in the front yard. I've done a couple of videos on it, 2,000 fig tree cuttings, how to prune your fig tree. I showed in previous videos how I chopped it down to basically like 3.5, 4 foot tall trunks, and how much it grew back. So you can check my other videos out and see how that went. It went great. And in the past couple of months, I've been doing a lot of air layers on it because it's growing into the common area, and I don't want the community landscapers butchering that side of the tree and me losing a whole bunch of valuable branches. So I did some air layers. I'm going to do a little cutaway here, and I'm going to show you. They rooted out in 3 weeks, guys. 3 weeks. All right, it was just damp peat moss in Ziploc bags, zip-tied, covered in tinfoil, and I have been using aloe vera from my yard, fresh aloe vera, not so much as a rooting hormone, but to keep them from rotting or anything like that. But I don't know, there's been mixed reviews on whether aloe vera gel fresh works as a rooting hormone, and I'm starting to think it might, because I've been doing a lot of air layers that way just because it's a lot cheaper than using the rooting hormone I use is Dip and Grow, and it's kind of expensive, and it doesn't have a long shelf life after you mix it. So and it's just a pain in the ass. I always wind up mixing up a whole bunch, putting it on the ground, kicking it over with my foot, something happens and it spills, and then I'm screaming and yelling at myself. So anyway, I'm gonna turn you around here and show you. So these guys, obviously these figs, most of them are just going to drop off. They're already starting to dry up, but some of these guys might actually stay on. A couple of them have a lot of figs on them. They actually are doing pretty good. They're growing leaves here. Buds, leaves. This one here, it didn't actually lose its leaves, but they're starting to turn yellow, and the little stems of the leaves are starting to turn red. This is because of winter coming. It's not because of any sort of lack of water getting up the tree. It's just because it's going dormant. I have another one over here. This one still has some leaves on it, but it's putting out little baby leaves too. So these guys, even though it's winter, just because they are fresh air layers and they're rooting out, they are going to bud out. Most of these leaves are probably going to fall off once it gets really cold. I know that's going to happen. I'm not too worried about it, but I have these guys right now in 18-inch grow bags, and I've been using my mixture of soil. If you've seen my Pakistani mulberry cutting video, the experiment I'm doing on those guys, you'd know my soil mixture is about 1/3 peat moss and 2/3 composted wood chips. There's no fertilizer or anything added into it. These guys do not need fertilizer this time of the year, all right? Especially when they're rooting out. So, as you saw in the cutaway, these had some really, really good roots on them, but they still lost their leaves, all right? And these guys, they get a little bit of sun. As you can see here, it kind of peeks through this little slit right here between the tree and the roof and all this other stuff growing here. I got a giant papaya tree up here that was a transplant, and I planted it here for shade on this manzano and these blue java bananas, and it's shading out these guys pretty good. So it's a good spot for these guys. They are on irrigation, so I have them on green spot spitters, and they're getting watered right now, I think about every 3 days, and they're staying pretty moist. The problems with these guys, you could see I got these wooden stakes on these, so a lot of these were growing out of the tree this way and hanging down a little bit, and then they were curving up. So to straighten these out, I've staked them, and the reason I've done that now is because the bark is going to harden over the winter, and if you don't straighten them out now, come springtime, they're going to be locked into that curved shape, and it's going to be very hard to straighten them out at that point when they're still soft. The bark hasn't hardened yet because this is all first year growth. All right, all of these grew from last December from my video when I planted that fig tree. This is just over this summer, so this is all first year growth. So the bark is not hardened yet. It's still this nice reddish color. It's not that tan or gray color, but if you look down here, you could actually see this bark is starting to turn gray. All right, so once it turns gray like that, that means it's hardening. So it's kind of soft right now and red. That's why I tied them to wooden stakes, and that's what I would recommend, guys. So what I did was I cut up old garden hose, and then I just used some paracord, some cheapo paracord, nothing expensive. This hose is there just so it doesn't cut into the branch. It gives it a little more surface area and pads it. All right, so always save your old garden hoses, guys. Don't throw them out. They're so useful. They're good for picking up cactuses. They're good for staking plants like this. You just never know. Don't throw anything away like that. Over here, I have a white Italian. So this one, if I had to guess, I'd say it's probably about, from the soil level in the pot up, probably about 10 feet. I got a lot of those going, so I talk a lot about this variety. It's one of my favorites. This is named after George, because he just loves this fig. So it's called George's Unknown White Italian, because I don't exactly know what type of Italian fig this is. No one does. It was brought over here from Italy by an old Italian guy on a boat and grown in New York and transported out here, grown here, and then given to me as a cutting. So if you come over here, I could actually show you what the tree looks like. This is it here. It's pretty big. It's loaded with figs right now. It's starting to go to sleep, so these leaves, there you go, they're starting to fall off. This will completely defoliate in a couple of weeks, but it's really really put on some size. The trunk itself, let me see if I can get you guys in there. The trunk itself is probably about 3 inches in diameter. You can see there's air layers back there. I still have to remove those. Some of those air layers are probably about 1.5 inches in diameter. So let me squeeze through here. There you go. So they're pretty big air layers. You can see those branches back there. Those are the tops of the air layers. The tallest one is probably about 12 feet tall. The tree itself, if I had to guess, I would say it's probably about 15 feet tall. So a little bit bigger than that air layer is. But I planted this thing here strategically because I'm shading my avocado with it here. Here's my avocado. It's shading it, and it does really good here in the summer. I got this moringa tree here that I'm trying to grow to shade this side as well. That way all I have to do is put up a little bit of cover over here to shade the top in the summer. Avocados grow great here in the winter, guys. I'm going to do a little update video on this one. But here's some of the figs here. So this is probably going to be a Bariba crop. I've harvested a few, but the temperatures have gotten low in the past week or two, and it's really starting to go to sleep. These figs are just phenomenal figs. They're super sweet. Being green, the birds don't bother them as much as like a black fig or a purple fig or a red fig or something like that. They do have a pinkish flesh on the inside, a little bit of a blush to them. They're just pure sugar. They're not so much a honey fig, but they are really sweet. They just don't have that honey sap to them. So I'm going to take you over here. I'll show you. I got a couple other figs going, air layer wise, and we'll talk about those a little bit. So over here I got a brown turkey going. Oops, some leaves falling off it. But yeah, there's quite a few air layers in here. This is the main one that I get my air layers off of for brown turkeys. And again, it's got lots of figs on it all the way up. It's kind of growing in a bad spot. I got a dwarf Orinoco back there, and last summer I had a rack of bananas on it, and I didn't even realize because I couldn't get to it. It was kind of trapped behind the Shangri-La here, and the brown turkey. So I want to get some of those branches air layered off. I always leave a little bit so I can just keep propagating off of it. It's a great little tree, puts out a lot of fruit, and it grows really good. Back here we have a little grasshopper right there hanging out. Got a couple around the yard. They're pretty big. I don't know what the heck they eat. They don't eat anything in my yard, so I just kind of leave them alone. Over here I got a blackjack fig. So there's a lot of figs on these. Lots of figs. This is the main tree here. I want to leave that side, but all of these, as you can see, I've air layered these, and these guys are ready to come off. So this big one in the back, if I had to guess, I'd say it's probably about 12 feet tall. It's as tall as the main tree. And then this year is a Peter's honey that I grafted on about 2 years ago. And I think it's not growing as much as it should be because of all these other suckers that I let grow. And I let these grow on purpose so I could propagate them. There's some more figs. The birds really love these guys. You can see this one was really pecked to death. Got a couple more up here that are going. They really need to be picked. They're just really high up and I can't really get them. Here's another one I think got pecked to death over here, but I got some lower ones down here. These guys are starting to turn. You see the eyes opening up, starting to turn red. They're starting to get that little purple blush to them. So hopefully these guys make it before winter comes, because if they're purple when the winter comes, they usually just die on the tree. All right, guys, so over here I got a whole rack of fig cuttings. These are Georgia's Unknown White Italian. I got quite a few of those coming up. I got some more underneath on the bottom. These guys are little ruby figs. These I got from Pam. She gave me a whole bunch of them, and I've been growing those out. These are great for container type figs. Down here I got some black mission, some brown turkey, some blackjack, all in here. I think I might have some black Madeira somewhere in there. Here's some more Unknown Italian. Those are some chaya from the Great Cutting video. I still have another bin over here. These are all from the Grapevine video where I built the trellis. Got some Queensland bottle trees going. Well, guys, I think I'm going to cut this video short because the light is just basically gone. But anyway, yeah, that's, you know, where I get all my cuttings from and air layers and stuff. You know, every time people come down to my plant nursery, they ask me where I get my plants, and I tell them everything here is propagated out of my yard. You know, it's either seed grown or I propagate off my own plants and trees, or, you know, sometimes George brings me stuff or I get stuff from Pam. But that's mainly it. So just so you guys can see, I got a lot more figs going, but no air layers or anything on them. Not a lot of figs on them, so I'm gonna skip those. That's gonna complete that video, guys. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, share, hit the bell, tell all your friends, and until the next video, guys, keep growing.